My goal today is to inspire you to start one small success habit. A success habit is something you do that's small, doesn't impact your day, doesn't take much time, but in the long run makes a difference. People tend to overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a decade. A simple example of that would be if you eat 10 more calories per day, you'll gain 1 pound per year. If you walk 0.1 miles per day, you'll lose 1 pound per day. Very simple. One success habit I have is I never shower unless I break a sweat first. And I can break a sweat without running 5 miles. I can break a sweat by doing a few push-ups or a few sit-ups. Very simple, less than 2 minutes. Another success habit, my office is on the 5th floor, and I always take the stairs. It's actually faster than the elevator in many cases. Aristotle said 2,300 years ago, we are the product of what we repeatedly do. So my idea of success habits, that's not an original idea. And I dare say Aristotle was not the first one to have that idea. This is me when I was 13 years old. My father asked me to help him paint the fence between our house and the neighbors. He showed me how to scrape and sand and paint, and while I was doing that, one of the other neighbors said, could I come over and paint something for him? He was going to pay me. I was open, so I said, oh, that's a great idea. I can start a painting business. So I had two other ideas. My mother had taught me courtesy, and my father had taught me work ethic. So I combined the idea of a painting business with courtesy and work ethic. And I started Jim's Painting. And soon I hired my brothers and I hired my friends. And when we went to someone's house, if we went inside, we'd take our shoes off. If we said we were going to be there at 8 o'clock, we'd be there at 8 o'clock. We ended up painting dozens of houses in the small town I grew up in. And our sole competitive advantage, courtesy and work ethic, not new ideas. And that idea actually got stolen from me by a company called College Pro Painters. Now, I'm sure they never had heard of Jim's Painting, but they used similar ethics and values to start their business, and they ended up being highly successful as a result. And I used those same values in my last year at university when I started my computer company. I was in fourth year engineering at the University of Waterloo, and I needed a computer to design a circuit board, and I got a better deal if I bought 2 of them. So I bought 2 computers, and I sold one. Then I bought another 2, and then I bought some peripherals, and I bought some software, and pretty soon I'm buying and selling computer hardware, software, and peripherals. But I didn't always want to run a small business. I wanted to grow the business. So what I would do when I was doing $1 million in sales, I'd talk to people who were doing $2 million in sales, and I'd take their ideas and I'd incorporate them into our business. Then I'd talk to people doing $5 million, and then $10 million, and then $20 million, and $50 million, and $100 million. Always asking, what are the things that I can learn from those people? What changes do I need to make in myself? What changes do we need to make in our company to grow? At that time, my wife subscribed to women's magazines, and I would leaf through those women's magazines, and I would see ideas that cosmetics companies had paid tens of thousands of dollars for. And I would take those ideas, and I would modify them and combine them, and they became the advertisements for my computers and peripherals. There are no new ideas. Ideas are actually a dime a dozen. How often do you see 2 restaurants right across the street from each other? One has a lineup outside. You can't get a reservation unless you call a week in advance. And the other one's going out of business. It's not the idea, it's the implementation. I had the good fortune in being involved with RIM in the early years. I joined the board before they were public, and I was on that board for 13 years. They later changed their name to BlackBerry. Even they didn't have a new idea. All they did was took the idea of a pager and combined it with email. As a matter of fact, the first BlackBerries were called email pagers. And while I was running the business, I learned that sense of urgency also wins. More people and more companies fail from perfection than fail from speed. That's particularly true of entrepreneurs. Sense of urgency wins. While I was growing my business, I believed in open leadership and open management. After we got our quarterly results, I'd share those results with all of the staff, and we'd talk about what we needed to do to get to the next level. And what I learned is openness is inspirational for people. The more people know what's going on, the more that they can contribute. This is my office today. I currently sit at a table with 40 other people in an open office. After we grew the business to $350 million in sales, we sold it to Synnex, and I became CEO of Synnex Canada, which was doing about $800 million in sales. 6 months after I sold it, I confided in one of my mentors that it wasn't very fun, and California wasn't letting me do what I needed to do to grow the business. Well, he told me the problem was I wasn't selling to California to get the resources I need. And I changed my style and started selling to California. For the next 4.5 years, I had a great time. When I left Synnex, we were doing $2 billion. It was all about sales, and I realized then that one of my leadership techniques is selling. Now, my first year in sales, I sold $50,000, then $450,000, then $1,079,000, then $2.6 million, $4.6 million, $5.6 million. That was a slow growth year. Then I did $10 million in sales. It took me 7 years to go from 0 to $10 million in sales. Then I did 21 million, then 30 million, then 40 million, then 39 million, then 41 million. 3 years of flat sales taught me that growth is inspirational. Growth gives opportunity, and opportunity is inspirational. Growth is also the easiest way to drive efficiency into a business. What we would do is grow our sales by 20% and grow our staff by 10%, and even with slightly declining margins, our business would be more profitable year after year. Then we went to 68 million, then we went to 100 million. So it took 7 years to go from 0 to $10 million, and it took 8 years to go from 10 to $100 million. And after we sold to Synnex, we never grew less than $100 million in a year, and many quarters we would grow by $100 million. So we grew from 0 to $2 billion, and we never had an original idea. And this is my grandson, Josh, who's thinking of starting a painting business. Thank you.